Hey, welcome to the Dave Fulkerson podcast. My first episode is with my guest Casey Riley, and we talk about getting into entry-level loans for folks who may not have 20 or 30K down to invest in a property. You get into the house, you house hack it, you live there, you establish that loan on your credit, and then you find a new house, do the same thing over again. It's kind of an entry-level way to get in if you don't have a ton of money. Obviously, after you house hack it and you buy it, once you get in another one, you still keep the first one, you rent it, lease it out, start making that passive income, and it's now your investment property. You move into the next house, you do the whole thing over again, and over time you can build up investment properties that way. So it's a quick way to do it. You can do it here in St. Louis because you can get into houses for, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, $100,000. You're only doing 3% down, 3% of $100,000. You're looking at like $3,000, and then you're able to get into that new level. So I hope you like what you hear. I often think the biggest thing that holds people back. So I'm a property manager, right, and real estate investor. I don't know if you are aware of that. My name is Dave Fulkerson. Like and subscribe. Hit it, as they say. And one of the big drawbacks for people getting into property investing is being able to pull the trigger and get that loan. But St. Louis has a lot of advantages because houses aren't $300,000. Right. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, if you were like ground roots, if you're 20 years old, 25, and you're like, you want to get into this thing, you could buy an $80,000 house in Florissant, live in it for a year or two, 6 months, 3 months, as much, it's going to be your primary residence. Yeah. What kind of a credit score does someone need to qualify? What's your minimum loan amount?
So it just depends. Each place. So I work with 21 different places, and so each one has their own different one. Now, depending on, I've done them as low as $35,000 before. Okay. Typically when it gets below that,
it's not worth your time. But theoretically, someone could get a loan for, $50,000-$60,000. And I mean, do you guys need 20% down, or is it still like you can do 5% down but pay that PMI?
Yeah, absolutely. So
And is PMI a portion of the loan amount?
It is, and that's exactly what it goes off of.
And they're going to be such a small amount, the PMI is going to be negligible anyways, right?
Correct, absolutely. Gotcha. When you're doing that small amount. So, yeah, you can definitely, honestly, you can get depending on how much money you make and, what you do for a living, you can go down as little as 3%. There's Home Ready, Home Possible, there's the Home One where it doesn't really care how much money you actually make, and you can still put down 3%. The mortgage insurance is a little bit higher on that one versus the Home Ready and Home Possible, but I mean, if you're buying a house at $60,000 and if that is what you're going to do and you plan on turning it into something else, I mean, you have an opportunity right there to be doing that.
Yeah. So if you think you don't have the money to get into it, I mean, you could get into it. I mean, what's 3% of $80,000 for $12,000?
No.
$1,200?
Yeah. So yeah, 80. So it's 800 was 1%. 1,600. Yeah, 2,400.
Okay, $2,400. Yeah. So with next year's tax return, theoretically, most folks could probably get into it. What kind of credit score are we talking about?
So if you're looking at doing a conventional type of loan, I mean, you're going to be looking at, it goes down to 620 if you got qualifying factors or factors as in, you have more, you have money in reserves, or, there's just certain things that you're going to be making a lot more money and your debt to income ratio is very low. So there's certain factors, but I would just say the rule of thumb is going to be like a 640 to 660.
Okay, so you don't need perfect credit.
Correct.
You don't need a ton of money.
Right.
You could theoretically get into a place, and if you buy that place, and then some life event happens, and you have to move to another one that you found right across town. I mean, that happens sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
And generally, how many loans can someone have on there? But with that, you can't claim that income. That's going to count against you in your debt to income ratio. Absolutely. Unless you've been doing it for 2 years. So if you're planning out your way forward into property investing,
you may need to look into, spacing it out over 2 years, so that way at the end of that 2 years you can start claiming all that rental income because you got to claim it on your taxes, so that way you can it used as qualifying rather because without the 2 years it just counts as a debt.
Well,
that mortgage amount.
Yeah. Well, it's there's some.
Your smile tells me there's ways around that too.
Well, there was until this whole life-changing event of coronavirus and so on and so forth. But you always talk about contingencies of people from buying one house to another house. But if they were going to rent that house out for a certain amount of money, you can basically make up for that debt-to-income ratio. And you didn't necessarily need 2 years of.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's different for me. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, basically, a lease agreement would get you in.
Huh.
Yeah. So you wouldn't necessarily have to show 2 years, depending on the circumstances. Yeah. So yeah, that was.
So that's a thing.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Houses were contingent.
So you could get into one and really start that property investing a lot sooner with that primary mortgage. How many notes can someone have on?
That was, I believe it's.
I think the trash is around the side of the house, or it's around back, right?
Yeah, it's on. Have him take it down. Yeah.
Huh?
Have him take it down.
He likes it. He likes taking out the garbage.
Oh, yours, dude.
Good job, Cam. Keep it up.
Thanks, Kim.
You're welcome. Bye.
Take care.
See ya.
So, I believe it's 12. Now, the most of it.
I've heard 12.
Yeah, I think it's 12, and that was Fannie. I don't know what it is right now. I mean, there's obviously things that are happening right now that it's tough to keep up on. But the most I ever did at one time for one person was 7 different loans at the same time, and that was basically a block. Somebody was buying a block.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, they were all leased out, right? So.
Yeah.
A lady had her own primary house,
Like
obviously.
an actual, like a city block, or like
No,
a group of houses?
A group of houses.
Okay.
Yes. So,
In the business, we call that a package.
or a package, if you will. So, yeah, they bought 7 of these houses, and they used the rental income off of each one to basically offset the other one. So
you're telling me, if it's a turnkey rental, you can use that turnkey
income, you could.
Interesting. Can you still do that?
No, not right now.
Oh. Well, it doesn't do as much good, does it?
No, because it used to be, it would, you could take that debt off of your,
Liability sheet.
Yeah, your liability sheet.
Oh.
And so it was just a simple getting a lease agreement showing that the house is going to be rented out, signed by him, get them uploaded. Life is good. Yeah.
So, if you can't do that, eventually, if you end up getting 12 houses, you're probably looking into commercial lending after that. Then you can put it in an LLC to better protect you and everything else.
Yeah.
But, as you're starting out, most people, some dump trucks rolling by, some cement trucks, it's great audio.
I know, right? We had more people show up at our house that are entertaining today.
So we could do, what was I saying?
I don't know. But I would tell you, from talking with younger investors, so in that 25, 26 years old, whatever they might be, I know multiple people that have bought the multi-house, whether it be a duplex or something like that.
Okay, a quadplex, triplex. Yeah.
You live in it, it is considered your primary.
You live on one side and rent the other side.
Absolutely.
If I was young and I wasn't married, my wife would live there, I would do that in a minute.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Because you're putting down, you can still do 3% down on it.
You could do it down in South City.
Yeah.
You could grow a beard. You
Yes.
could wear tight pants.
Yes.
You could be Johnny Hipster.
That's right.
That's what we do. That's how we do it in South City. That's how we do it on the Hill.
Yeah. That's where he did it, ish.
I bet it's where he did it. That's where all the kids live. Like, hey man, I'm gonna go live at the Hill up until I have kids, and then I'm gonna go to normal county schools because no one wants to send their kids to city schools.
Yeah. No, that's some of the younger folks that have done that. I just think that's the smartest thing that they could do. And because then all of a sudden, once you do make that move and you've decided that you do want to move out of that type property, you've already set yourself up for having that income coming in. Now all of a sudden you own a fourplex and you got instant income coming in every single month. And you've already had, you live in there, let's just say for a couple of years, you've got it set up. You know how to run all those things. So
and you get a great knowledge of the property. You kind of know, oh man, this main stack is cast iron. It's gonna need to be replaced eventually. So you just know a little bit more about the properties when you live in them personally.
Yep.
But yeah, duplexes, triplexes downtown in St. Louis for sure. Down in South City, North City, you do North City too. If you want to go live in North City, I mean, there's a lot of houses.
There is.
There's a lot of opportunity there, and stuff is pretty cheap there.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
that opportunity's there too. Can you do a 4-family with the VA loan? You can do a 4-family with the 1 to 4, right?
Yeah.
With the VA loan?
Yeah. Anytime it's over 4, then it gets into commercial
Yeah.
policies. So, yeah, I mean, that's up to 4 is typically the magic number. Anything over that, then you got to get a little crafty with, I believe there's Freddie or Fannie's got their own special one.
Freddie has 5 plus commercial, but it has to be over $1 million.
Right, that's what we're talking about.
So it'll be have like a 2-bedroom in San Diego or a 20 unit in St. Louis. The same $1 million loan there.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there is opportunities out there, but once you get into that 4 plus, I mean, you're pretty much looking at a commercial loan for the most part, and then you really have to have your ducks in order.
What if someone? Can you refinance? Do you have to have can you have worse credit to refinance?
No.
You still have to have a 6, whatever.
Yeah, you still. I mean, real honestly, like conventional starts at 620. Okay, so Freddie and Fannie, that starts at 620. FHA, VA, you can go down pretty low. All right, like 580. Okay.
For a primary.
For a primary.
For a refi or for a purchase?
Even purchase, refinance doesn't really make a difference. So, yeah, and with the FHA, you're not allowed to do rental properties.
Is it easier to do a refi than a purchase? If you were... Well, I guess why I'm asking is because if someone did like a hard money loan...
Sure.
To acquire the property, because it's different between owning a house and trying to buy a house.
Yeah.
So if you did a hard money loan for $80,000, and granted you're paying 10% plus points plus whatever that loan shark is trying to get you on, the sooner you get that refi done, the better. But I was wondering, is it any more lenient to do a hard, like a refi rather than a purchase?
Like you talking about like a cash out refinance or just like a regular refinance?
Just a regular refinance.
A regular refinance is going to be so much. Well, hard money lenders, they don't play by the same rules, so they can give you the money faster than you can say your name.
Yeah. So you can get that 80, you can close on the deal, get the property, and then within 30 days, 45 days,
absolutely.
refinance it through a conventional primary residence. You'd have to move in there.
Yes.
You couldn't do it with just a lease and do the same, because then you're getting a different rate. You're getting the best rate with it being your primary residence.
Correct.
So...
yeah, it's always going to be your best rate whenever you do a primary residence.
I might have to move to Florissant.
Well,
can I have 2 primary residences?
If
I wrote you a letter and said I was getting separated,
yes.
is that all you need is a letter? Is that fraud?
Well, if you're actually doing fraud, yes.
Well,
like I like just for instance, I had I have 2 folks that they're getting divorced, and it worked out to where he was only paying the mortgage out of his bank account. She wasn't on his bank account, so we could prove that even though that they're both on title and they were both on the loan, that he's been making these payments for the last year. So basically, that negates her from any debt to income ratio for owning that house.
yeah.
So we end up getting her a primary, while they're still going through this divorce. So yes, she had a primary. He still has a primary, but now he's selling. Now he's going to get his own primary. But yeah, you can technically do that, something like that, but I would not recommend it. It's a slippery slope, and you do have to write a letter of explanation on it, and you do have to.
Borderline fraudy.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially if you're intentionally doing it the way I was hinting.
Yes,
Yeah.
if you're intentionally doing it, absolutely. I mean, this one was they were the conventional, and we ended up doing a FHA for her. So yeah, if it is intentional, yeah, we don't. You got to have all your ducks in a row because that is. If you are doing it for the wrong intentions, it is fraud.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So I guess to summarize that primary residence requirement, we're talking minimum 3% down, 3 to 5,
Yep.
3 to 5% down, 620 credit score,
At least. Yep.
at least a 620 credit score, and there's really no minimum loan amount. What kind of income are we talking about to qualify for that?
So what we look at is we take your income over a whole year, and numbers wise, so we take that whole income over a year, divide it out over by 12. All right, which so you make $36,000 a year. Now you got making $3,000 a month. We basically take that by 50%, and basically anything under that with all your liabilities, you should be able to get a home. As long as you get decent
So
credit.
if you made $3,000 a month, how much could you afford if you didn't have a car payment?
No
or
other
anything
debt,
like that?
$1,500 a month.
$1,500 a month payment?
Yep, $1,500 a month.
So you could afford quite a bit of house for $3,000 a month.
Correct, for making $3,000 a month.
Huh. Interesting.
Yes.
There's a math problem there.
To summarize what Casey was talking about, we're talking 3% down, 3 to 5% down. You can have like a 620 to 650 credit score. Credit doesn't have to be perfect. There's not going to be a minimum loan amount. It's going to be loan officers don't want to do it because it's such a small amount and they don't make as much money on it, but they can be done. And then the income amount, like I was saying, with $3,000, you could potentially get a loan for up to a $1,500 payment, which could be, a $150,000 house. It could be, quite a bit of house for not a lot of money. Or you could get a smaller house and definitely be able to afford it, establish it, get a really low payment. Because if you're getting, a $300-$400 a month payment, whenever you're renting that house for, $750-$800 a month, that's where that profit's built in. That's when you lock in. That's when you move on to the next house and you can do it again. So that's pretty much it for the podcast. There's more to it. I'll put a link in the description below to the whole thing if you want to listen to Casey and I just talk to each other for the next, I think we go on for about another half hour or so. We just talk about all kinds of different stuff. But this is the important stuff for real estate investing. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a comment if you want to tell me why I'm wrong.
Might put it up on the screen.
Thanks a lot. Bye. Thanks.